Hello and welcome back to another video. Here's a video of No One Asked For, World of Warships on ARC GPU. Welcome to Response PC, I'm Dunk, let's game on. I know no one asked to see the performance on World of Warships with ARC GPU, but I like this game and I need some filler before Path of Exile arrive in 2 days. So let's start up this DX11 game and how it fares on Intel GPU. The current setup will be the i5-12600K, 32GB of RAM, so we don't have any bottleneck for the GPU. The first one will be the A310, a 4GB card, having the GPU peg at 99% using 2.2GB of VRAM, CPU almost doing nothing at the 15% utilization, and using 10.3GB of RAM, we get an average of 91 FPS at 1080p high settings. And that's average because when you're not in scope, you're well over 110 FPS, and when you are in scope, you are around 80 FPS. For a slow-paced game like this, even 30 FPS is well enough, so being even over 60 FPS for the entry-level A310, it's almost magic. Even pushing the A310 to the maximum settings at 1080p, we still get an average of 44 FPS. This is amazing. Obviously, the GPU is pegged at 99% of utilization, but it's only using 2.8 out of 4GB of VRAM, and CPU and memory didn't change much to even talk about it. Jumping to the A380 and knowing that the A310 can play at 1080p maximum, we're going to be straight to maximum with the A380, and the card gives us quite decent results. Yes, it's a 6GB VRAM card, but we're only using 3.3GB of VRAM, CPU doing nothing again at 15% and using 10.5GB of RAM for an average FPS of 54. Quite happy with the result for the A380. This kind of game is perfect for this kind of GPU, and this video is becoming a nice filler. And this game is still quite well played, as right now there's still 6,400 people playing this game, and there's an average of 16k on the weekday and about almost 20k on the weekend still playing this game. Next up, we have my favorite budget Intel card, the A580, and now this time still at maximum. I upped the resolution to 1440p, but even that is not enough for the A580. We still at 99% utilization for the GPU, but we're only using 3.9GB of VRAM, CPU still under 20% of utilization, and RAM still at 10.3GB of utilization. So the maximum, even at 1440p, is almost nothing for the A580, because that gives us an average of 66 FPS, having about 83 FPS not in scope, and sometimes dropping into 45 when in scope. I've never benchmarked this game before, so I don't know if it does the same thing with NVIDIA and AMD GPU. In scope and out of scope, the FPS is that big of a difference. Next up, we have the A750. I have the Elden Ring edition, which have 8GB of VRAM, the same as the A580. We're still playing at 1440p, maximum settings, only using 4.2GB of VRAM because there's not a lot of asset to load beside your own ship and some water. We still raise the FPS at 87 average, reaching 98 FPS in scope, surprisingly. But some other area in scope, we drop to 48, probably because when you're in scope, you zoom in so much into another scene that, surprise, a lot of assets to load. I don't know, I'm just assuming. But I'm surprised, the game run way better than what I was expecting. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what I was expecting, because even the recommended setting is like a GTX 770 or RX 570 with 8GB of RAM. We're way over that. Still a DX11 game, but the Intel driver went way better with time. And finally, the A770 LE. This is a 16GB VRAM card, if it matters, because it does not, using only 4.1GB of VRAM out of 16. I have the same gigahertz as the A750 at 2.4 GHz. Only difference is the XE core. There's more in the A770 than the A750, and that make a little difference, getting an average of 105 FPS. And I don't have a 4K screen, so I cannot test at 4K, but I'm pretty sure the A770 will be able to play at maximum 4K. So I'll say that the Alchemist series of Intel GPU can all play the World of Warships, and the base series coming. I cannot wait. And for this game to be able to play so easily, the B series will crush it, no issue, I'm pretty sure. And I said that there's over 20k people playing. That was only on Steam DB. The game is also available on Epic Game, and you can also have no launcher and just have the war game from World of Warships. So there's really more than 20k people playing this game. So if this is the game you're playing, all the Intel Arc are quite budget friendly. Perfect for playing this game. And that's all I had to say for World of Warships on ARC GPU. Thanks for come watching, see you on the next one, and subscribe.